All right. On a new piece of hardware here. Hope it works okay. Getting a little bit of a late start today. And basically going to do, well, Sydney's doing her Zoom class, but we've decided to not make it live stream because there's been some issues with that, which I'll discuss in a minute. And I am actually going to go grab a cup of coffee real quick while I wait for a few people to roll in. Usually there's a couple people. Having a coffee. We will start momentarily. Coffee. Well, looks like there's one person here. Um, I am brewing some coffee. I don't really have anything planned for today. Um, Things have gotten switched up a little bit. Last week, we decided to host an open Zoom class to the public, and the idea was to have it be a live stream so that basically we could kill two birds with one stone. We could provide an open floor for people to come in and do Sydney's class, and then I was wanting to have an open floor discussion with my viewers from this channel, which I've never done before. And I thought it would be a really good idea. But within 10 minutes, someone logged in and basically they attempted to get us banned, is essentially what they were trying to do. Um, they were swearing. They took over the Zoom meeting and were screen sharing. They did something that, had I been a more experienced Zoom user, I wouldn't have let happen because I would have known that they, to turn that option off. They came in and they started screen sharing like violent video game content, and then like some, I don't know, a couple really weird things. I don't even really know what it was. It was like cutting or something. It was some gory, weird shit. And then they had like multiple accounts logged in. They had an account also logged into the YouTube side of it, and they had someone posing as like, a concerned citizen, like trying to act like there was somebody that we knew or something. They were like, "Oh, this is Ashley. Oh, this is really bad. Oh, you're gonna get banned." Like it was fucking weird. But it was a very sophisticated attack, and they were doing things so quickly that, like, me not being an experienced Zoom user, I couldn't keep up with it. But anyway, so we've had to not do an open panel discussion because of this. It's kind of sad that that is something that we have to be worried about. Like, I would have never thought of something like that. Like, I would have never even, so like, the idea never even crossed my mind that, like, somebody would try to log in and, like, do something like that. But yeah, don't know who it was. Not really. Yeah, I don't know if they were trying to elicit a response out of me or what. I mean, the only response that I really have is I felt a little bit of, like, shock that, like, someone would actually do that. Like, you're coming on to, like, a exercise class and trying to get whatever. And then, yeah, just maybe, like, just a little bit of disappointment that, like, people are that nasty. Like, like, I don't, who knows? But anyway, so we're doing things a little differently, and that's why this week this is a little bit of a hiccup, because we did a pre-registration for this week's Zoom class, and Sydney is actually doing a Zoom class right now, which, if it goes well and the people who attend are okay with it, we will be uploading. But if it doesn't, or if something like that happens, then we won't be uploading it. But we'll find basically we'll find a system that works, and we will be delivering this content. Our idea is essentially to provide. I want to provide somewhat of a community for people to come to. Like-minded people, who can have a space where they feel heard, and to, like, not feel like they're crazy, essentially, because, like, my viewpoint on things and just the way that we both look at things is very different from most people. And I know that especially years ago, when I was first researching a lot of these topics, like, I really, like, I had a lot of people, like, essentially just telling me that I was crazy. And it's like it's good to have other people you can run things by. If nobody shows up today, like I said, I got a little bit of a late start, and if no one's going to be here, I'm probably just going to call it good pretty early today, because yeah, we're having a weird morning, and I don't really have, like I said, anything particular that I want to talk about. So if in the next 3 or 4 minutes somebody shows up and starts interacting with me and asking questions, then, if you get me going, then I might stay. But if not, then I'm probably just going to be done for today. So I just made some coffee. I'm going to go make my coffee. If anybody's here, I don't know. I see it looks like there's one person here, and that should take about 45 seconds. I'm going to come back, and yeah, if nobody shows up, I'm probably just going to call it a day. So give me 1 minute. Looks like there might be a couple of people here. So yeah, what I've seen is basically when people start putting out real information, this is the type of thing that happens to them. And I've said for a long time on my channel, like, with me, I don't know what people like that's intentions are, but it has the opposite effect on me, because all it shows me is like how fucked up this place really is, and like how fucked up people really are, and like it makes me want to do more. Like it makes me want to be like, okay, things like that, and like people being in that type of energy, right, is like the whole reason I'm doing what I'm doing. So like you're just showing me that we haven't done enough yet and we need to keep going. Like it's always had the opposite effect on me. I used to get angry about it. Now I'm just kind of like, well, it is what it is, right? Like I'm just gonna keep moving forward. And the thing is like, okay, you've helped me improve my security. You've helped me make a better process for next time. Like, thanks. You know. Yeah, I mean, this place is really inverted, really upside down. It's never been more obvious than it is right now, and I find it kind of maddening that like most people can't see it. Like I've been talking to people that I was close to years ago that I haven't spent any time around until recently, and like getting their take on it, and like being like, hey, have you noticed this? Have you noticed this? Have you noticed this? Have you noticed that like almost the entire population's like in a trauma response right now, and like they're irritable all the time, and like they're like, you look at people like in the grocery store and they're like, it's like the energy coming off of them is wretched. It's like not good. And yeah, it's like I think that people who can see and feel this like need a space to be able to like talk about it. And I'm sure there are definitely places to do that. I just want to I have a pretty specific, unique viewpoint on all of this. And so for people who resonate with me, I'd like to be able to provide a forum where we can talk. I am going to be doing basically a discussion Zoom. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm going to pull the trigger on it, and I'm going to basically do it's going to be like a meeting, right? And it'll probably be around this time on Saturdays. But I was wanting to do a men's group for a long time, but I think for now I'm just going to do an open floor discussion for people who watch my channel. And it will be, like I said, I'll probably announce some details and get like an actual plan together. But I'm going to probably do it around this time on Saturday. And what I'm going to do, again, is I'm going to make it it's just going to be a Zoom meeting, right? So we're not going to do a live YouTube broadcast for the issue that we ran into last week of people coming in and saying or doing things that, is bannable on YouTube, because at the end of the day, it's my YouTube account, and that makes me responsible for whatever goes through that live stream, so unfortunately, even though like it's totally not my fault that somebody came in and did that, it is my responsibility to make sure they can't do it again. I did get like the video was like flagged and removed. I'm sure that same person who came in and put that content in there also reported me. But didn't cause any actual problems. But yeah, so because of that, I'm gonna basically just do it off of YouTube. It's going to just be a Zoom meeting. And I will record it. And then the idea is to just post it to YouTube later. If it's got some good content in there. If it's just personal stuff, like if we get on there, because it's going to be an open floor. So if we get on there and it's just someone's personal stuff that they're talking about and there's not really anything useful, then we probably won't post it. You know what I mean? I'm only going to post stuff that there's a reason to post. So yeah, I'm trying to get rolling with a few things here. Running into some hiccups, some of which will be better to talk about later on once we're through these energies, right? Like it's not really helpful at the moment to share. I will say that like things like happened like last week. I mean, things like this have been happening to me consistently, like in a way that's like uncanny. And those of you who've watched the channel for long enough probably like have seen it. Like it's just been absolutely ridiculous, like how much interference I've dealt with. There's been things in the videos, like one thing in particular I remember making this one video, and it was like anytime I would talk about like the dark forces or like anything like that, you know, anytime I would talk about that stuff, weird stuff would start happening to my feed. One time I was talking about possession and I literally said the word possessed. And as I said that word, the lights in my house blinked off in the exact cadence and the exact time that I said possessed. So they blinked, possessed, off. It was fucking weird. And I have a recording of it. There's been like so many instances of things like this. So electronic interference, literal like people coming in, sabotaging us, me, you know, for years, almost dying, like you name it, man. There's been a lot. And I'm not deterred by it. So I don't like, kind of on some level, I'm kind of like, there's people like not getting it. Like are these people not getting it? Like, do they think I'm like, do they think this works on me? It doesn't work on me. Intimidation doesn't work on me. Like doing these things doesn't work on me. It irritates me. You know, I mean, this time I'm not even really irritated. I'm just more I'm disappointed in you. Whoever the fuck you are. I can't believe someone is that low. Yeah. Crystal. Yeah. I mean, everybody I know that's putting out real information has this experience. I mean, it's just like the way that you know that someone is peddling bullshit, like one of the big ways that you know is if they don't have any of this stuff going on. Like, in my opinion, right? Like, you know, you get all these big spiritual leaders that are like on Oprah and stuff. And it's like, you look into those affiliations and like, you know, it's like, I wonder why they're being promoted, right? While these people who are putting out true information are completely being shadow banned and censored. They're saying similar things, right? But they're not saying the same thing. But one person's being propped up and the other one's being clobbered over the head with a hammer. I wonder why. It's not hard to figure out. I mean, if you look around, it's pretty obvious when you actually like, but you just have to like not, you've got to be hooked into certain gridworks and frequencies in order to be able to see this. That's just the way it is. And if people aren't hooked into gridworks and frequencies where they're, you know, they are on our wavelength, they're not going to be able to see it. And they're going to think, even like the people like that, like the New Agers, like who just like are living in the false astral bliss realm and think everything is love and light. Like they're going to think that someone like me is negative and potentially evil and potentially like, you know, a lot of things, right? They're going to have the same viewpoint of me as I have of them. Right? But it's really interesting how the nature of the shadow, the nature of Wetiko, always sees itself in others, right? And it's really strange, but that gets into like the whole idea of like the vampire not being able to look in the mirror and like all these metaphors, right? And this happens with us, right? Okay, like none of us are immune to this. I do it. All of you do it. right? We do it. When we go into that energy, we point out the same shit that we're doing. And then other people see that we're doing that, right? And they use it as a rationale to not listen to anything else that we say that we might be correct about, like if we're making a correction. And then we do that to other people as well. So like they point out something maybe that we're doing or saying, right? And then we're like, yeah, but you're fucking doing that. And then we use it as a reason not to step up a rung and evolve as well, right? Like it's this double-edged sword that it's this feedback loop that only ends when someone sees it and chooses to rise above it, right? But they have to do that. Like they have to be the bigger person and rise above it, regardless of whether the other person is staying stuck in it or not. Because the other person, right, if they don't see it, they will just, it'll just perpetuate, and the energy will go round and round and round and round and round. It may change forms, it may manifest differently, but it's the same energetic signature. And if you're in tune with that, you can feel it. You'll just feel it. It'll just go round and round and round and round and round endlessly. And what it does, it drains your energy. It's what it's designed to do. It's a program. Then this is basically like, this is the base level of like what's been done on this planet, is that like we've had all these programs installed that keep us in these feedback loops, that keep us small, that keep us suppressed, keep us in our little cage, and keep us on our little human farm, to keep producing energy for the people at the top of the pyramid. And like when you see it, it's like so obvious. Like when you look at like what we're going through right now in terms of like the Great Reset, and like I just read something today that said like the housing market may crash, and it's like, well, fucking yeah, it's designed to. Like, it's mind-boggling to me that 99% of the people that I know have no idea how fractional reserve banking works. They have no idea that like the system, the basic foundation of our economy and like our world is a vampiric feedback loop. It is a fucking Ponzi scheme, right? And nobody gets it. You explain it to them and their eyes just glaze over. Oh, that's just the way it works. That's just the way it is. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel, Joe. And the reason that they're able to get away with it is because everybody has the belief, oh, well, what can I do about it? I'm just one person. What can I do about it? Well, you can learn, you could speak, you could, educate others, you could make different decisions based on the knowledge that like the banks are screwing you, right? That, anybody that uses fiat currency is screwing you because that's what they're doing. Inflation built into the system is theft built into the economic system. If they print more dollars and make your dollars worth less money, and then they get all the, it all goes up the pyramid to them, and all the wealth transfers to them, then what's happening? That's why they have to do resets occasionally, because the system is designed to hyperinflate and to collapse that way. And they have to do resets occasionally. Otherwise, game's up, because there's nothing left to feed off of. Like, it's an insane system. And anybody who looks into it will, who's operating at a certain frequency, who's actually not polarized, will see it and be like, this doesn't make sense. This is not how a human would design things, because it isn't. It's not how a human being that's in alignment with source would design something. We wouldn't design something so that someone else would have to lose so that you could win. We innately would not think that way. It's installed technology. But anyway, I've been wanting to talk about these things for a long time, but like, I don't know. It's like this platform is like, it's like the same people show up every week, but I never get anybody new. I really think the algorithms are just not showing my channel to anybody. In 3 years, I have not lost or gained a subscriber. it stayed exactly at, I think, like 30. It's like 3,178 or something. It's been at the exact same number for 3 years. And I've had a ton of people like ask, like, dude, like, your content, no, there's nobody else that makes content like this. Like, this is a gold mine. Why do you only have 3,000 subscribers? And it's like, well, because there's an AI egregore that has decided that they don't want this content being available. So that's basically why. And to be honest, like, I can get around it. I mean, I 100% can get around it, but it will require more time, more effort, and I think that my time and energy are better spent continuing to build my foundation, right? Like, I have things to offer. I can help people. I can do sessions with people, right? Like, I've come a long way. But at the same time, I want to complete my tool set. And one of the things I need for my tool set is the Heilkunst sequential treatment certification, right? So I'm going to become a Heilkunstler so that I can incorporate that into my protocol. And I think that it's more important that I spend more time and effort doing that rather than trying to fight this bullshit AI. You know what I mean? Still going to put content out. And I think we do have a couple of tricks up our sleeve, but it'll be what it'll be. I'm not in a hurry. I'm okay with things unfolding slowly. I'm okay with building some experience while things are small, and speaking to the few people that I know who love and appreciate me, even when I text them, 10 potato emojis every day, like, that's for you, Crystal. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I don't have a plan today. We're having a weird morning. We've had to try to make adjustments for the endless fuckery that ensues whenever we try to basically do anything. And again, I just laugh at it because it's like, oh, I wonder what stupid bullshit they're gonna think of next. Like, I mean, it's kind of entertaining, it's just like, they're really creative. Like, I would have never thought of that. So yeah, let's call it a day. I'm going to be done. Thank you, Crystal. Like, I know, I know that there's people out there that have the same heart as me, and who do appreciate it, and like, they do see like why I did what I did, and like that it came from a pure place, and that, like, even though I had like very dark things attached to me, screwing with me, and I've made my mistakes, right? But like, I have sincerely done my best, and I've sincerely tried to be a good person, like tried to be honorable, tried to be ethical, right? Like, I have sincerely tried, but I also had a lot of like negative programs and patterns and traumas to clear. And the thing with like people here is that, like, if they haven't done that type of clearing work, they're never gonna see your improvement. Like, it's just everything's filtered through red, right? They just hate, and they just find reasons to make you wrong, sabotage you, judge you, you know what I mean? And like, but the thing is like, those people's opinions are meaningless. They, you can't look at someone else's life and for example, like, look at someone else's Facebook and like think anything about them, right? These people don't actually know anything about me or my struggle or what I've been through, what I've had to endure and overcome. their opinions are utterly worthless, right? Like it's just not even something that I consider. I consider the opinions of like the people that know me really, really well. And all of them share the same opinion, which is that I've transformed myself. I've transformed my life. And, that's whose opinion matters to me. So, unfortunately, I do have to deal with like people who create problems for me, create drama in my life, like put up obstacles and boundaries to like things that ought to be easy, for no other reason than they just like made assumptions and judged me and like are control freaks, right? Like that's I guess that's a video I'm going to be making. Like as I've let more and more like need to control things go, like as I've sort of just let go and learned how to like flow with life, the insane level of like the how am I wording this? Basically, everybody here is programmed to be a control freak. Like the basis of our like fucked up inverted society is control. It's like everybody wants to tell everybody else what to do, right? Like they're not libertarian, they're not like they don't believe in individual rights, basically. And the thing is like they're not educated enough and intelligent enough to even realize that they don't believe in freedom. Like they're really fucking stupid. Like, like they just call a spade here. Most people are fucking dumb. Like, and that's not judgment. That's not, I do get angry about it. I get very angry about it. But like, it's perfectly true. Like, they can't even think this through. Like, it's not even, they just don't even have basic education on like what rights are. Like, I don't know. Basic ethics, basic philosophy, basic, morality. Sentinel. I don't call them dumb. I just call them retarded. Yeah. It held your message, but I'm letting that one through. I mean, retarded is actually the accurate word because retarded just means slow, right? I mean, it doesn't mean what people think. It just means that they're a little slow, right? Like, and they're a little slow. But yeah, it's good to see you, Sentinel. Thanks for showing up consistently. I really appreciate it. It's nice to have a few people here. Again, I was talking about how my channel's been like shadow banned, and it was very obvious at one point because like I was growing really rapidly at one point, and then all of the sudden the valve got turned off, and I haven't gained or lost a subscriber in 3 years. So again, we're gonna find ways around this, but for now, I'm happy to just like continue to improve myself. Continue to work on things that we need as foundation for our relationship and for our business, and and get to a place where I really feel super confident. Improve my tool set. Go to the Halkun school. I used to be in this place of like super, like it's urgent. I need to do this right now, or like the world's going to end, right? And like now I'm kind of in this place of like, I can't predict what happens. And if something like that happens, like, yeah, it would maybe be kind of pointless to do these things, but I'm not going to live my life thinking that these things are going to happen. Like I'm going to live my life and I guess assume that things will go on fairly normally enough for me to be able to go to school and start a business and do all of these things, right? And then if something negative happens, I will deal with it when it shows up. And I've said this before, I think it's a good idea to have basic level preparation for things, but yes, they're hindered. It's very politically correct. Thank you, Crystal. They're differently abled. Yeah. So anyway, so for those of you who think like moi, and Sid. That's why I want to do a community. That's why I want to have open discussions. Sentinel, I don't know if you were here before, but I'm going to be doing like a Zoom call where people can come talk. And if you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to be on camera. If you just want to do voice, that's fine too. If you if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But if you want to be part of a discussion with me and potentially sit here and there, that's really what I want to do, because basically the way I see it is like I've been watching other people's content for a long, long time, right? There's a small handful of people out there that I feel like are pretty well in alignment. One person I'll mention off the top of my head, I've been watching recently that I've watched for years, but and read his articles. Bernard Gunther, The Cosmic Matrix. I like him. He seems to have his shit together, and he's very knowledgeable. Yeah, so like, but the thing is there's just so many angles to things, like the quantum science angle, the idea of, this place essentially being polarized and the light side of it also being a distortion, which like that right there, if like you can't grasp that basic concept, then, there's no point in you being here. Like, because, go back and watch the other videos, like the video, what the false light gurus will never teach you about ascension, because it's like, if you can't understand the idea of like what Luciferic energy is and how the New Age is that, then yeah, it's just like not a good idea for us to have a discussion, because I'm just going to say things that are going to trigger all those things that haven't been looked at yet, and my energy is very confrontational. Thomas Sheridan, yes. I'm not. Yeah, his stuff is. I get into the Norse end of things, and I like reading about it and stuff like that. And I have sort of worked with, some of that energy. That's all I'll say about it. But like, I do like Thomas Sheridan, and I have watched quite a few of his videos. And yeah, I agree with you. Yep. Good resource. Tessarian. Yep. Michael Tessarian. Yep. Same kind of realm. The only thing about, those guys, and I haven't quite decided. Well, I mean, I haven't, it's not up to me to decide, but I haven't quite figured out, like, not so much with Sheridan, but like Michael Tessarian and a couple of others, like, it's like they always wear black, and like they present themselves in somewhat of like a dark way. And I'm not saying that that's bad, but I don't understand it long term. I did that for a little while when I was like processing heavy things. And like I kind of felt that way for a little while, like when I was in like the depths of like the Dark Knight, right? But like to stay there indefinitely, like the whole metal scene. And I've liked metal. I really liked Tool, although Tool's stuff, if you look into it, is talking about Luciferic distortions and stuff. So I mean, it's like Danny Carey's like invoking like Enochian demons and stuff with his drum set. Like there's some shit with Tool, but that's why their fucking music is so good. And it's like, it's almost like I know what it is, and so it's like I try not to listen to it too much, but I have to admit that like it definitely has sucked me in a little bit. Like I liked it at the time, right? And I don't listen to it as much anymore, but I'm not real sure why they present themselves that way. Why? What is behind that? Is that unprocessed trauma? Because that's one thing, like I'll say about Mark Passio, like that guy has the worst unprocessed anger I have ever seen. And it's like, you're a spiritual teacher, dude. Like nobody's pointed out to you that like, yes, there is righteous anger. I agree with you. And like, there's things that have been done here that like, it's okay to be angry about, but like to have that much inside you that you can scream for an hour every day on a podcast, that's very dysfunctional. It's also counterproductive, because when you're working from that energy, like it's just not it's not a place that you can manifest things well from. And You know, it's like, and then I like think about it and I'm like, all right, this guy's been an occultist for 40 fucking years. You think he doesn't know that? He's got to know that. So if he knows that, then why does he keep doing it? Something's wrong here. You know, it's also still on YouTube. A lot of other people aren't. You know, I just think I'm still on YouTube because I basically played it safe and stopped putting out content when they were fucking hitting everybody with the band stick. But oh yeah, Crystal, I had very, very serious anger issues as well. And if that's an issue for you, I can't recommend Heilkunst more. Like, you know, and I know that you guys know this. I don't get anything from recommending this to you. I'm recommending it to you because, like, I mean, just go look at my videos from 4 or 5 years ago. It speaks for itself. It works. And yeah, Sentinel, I agree. I agree. Well, he says he was a satanic priest. It's like, you know, they have to tell you what they're doing. It's just a little white lie there. Just, you know. But yeah, Crystal, the Heilkunst remedies, they work. And, you know, that's another thing that's really tough to purge because it's socially unacceptable to be angry, right? People are really uncomfortable with anger. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with other people's anger. They don't know how to deal with their own anger. And inevitably what happens, like, to people who do have anger, which, look around, dude, why wouldn't you have anger? Like, everybody's got some anger. They stuff it down for years. They suppress it. They, you know, they do all these things. And then at a certain point, you know, like a lot of times I think it's like, you know, Saturn return will do it to you. Kind of what happened to me. That shit is coming out. And if you're not willing to look at it, it's going to come out in a way that makes it so that you cannot ignore it. Like, you won't be able to ignore it. And yeah, I look, Heilkunst is going to make you face your shit 100%. It's why, like, I ride the line with things like mild substances, because when you have like a level of anger that's like to the point where, like, you know, you're getting violent and stuff like that, and you could potentially screw up your life or someone else's life. If you have a tool that's like a substance, right, that you can use to palliate that, to prevent like bad things from happening, while you work on the underlying energy and purge it, and while you work on like processes to deal with the energy and to make better decisions, and like while you do these things, right, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm totally okay with it as long as you're like making forward progress, you know, while you're doing it. Now, you know, it's like I'm talking about things like marijuana, you know, which is legal in a lot of places, kratom, which is legal. I switched from alcohol to kava. It's like one of the best things I ever did. You know, and kava presented its own set of problems after a while. I don't drink kava anymore, but at the time it was like a godsend, right? It was like, okay, I can not drink, and, you know, I feel like, I guess I was feeling like sort of satiated. It was helping me to deal with some of my emotions. It got me through, and it got me out of the pattern of drinking, and it still allowed me to do my Heilkunst and emotional work, like while I was progressing, right? And so that's why, like, I'm not totally against substance use, right? It's just got to be like stuff that's like, you know, not gonna hurt you really badly, like not gonna kill you. And like any substance, you take enough of it can be harmful, right? Kava, kratom, marijuana is actually one where that may actually not be true, but you can just blaze away, Crystal. Personally never resonated with Casio. So here's the thing, right? I actually resonated with Casio when I was like going through like the dark stuff, like when I was, you know, in that period of time that I often talk about because it was so stark, right? But like, That's when I resonated with it, when I was super angry and I was in a dark place, right? And that kind of sets off some red flags for me. It's like, if that, but at the same time, though, I've said this before, sometimes what will happen is that a light being will come down and they'll go into like these toxic situations and they'll have to take on some of that energy and they'll appear toxic themselves, but they're actually there to transmit and pull in energy and stuff from a higher frequency into that level to reach a specific person or to reach, a group of people, and whoever's able to come up with them will come up with them, right? Like, that's, it can be like a shamanic role, right? Like, that's what I did. Like, I went down into a super low frequency, and like I was dealing with like really negative, really bad stuff, right? I mean, like, I was in a hell realm and I pulled myself out of it. And the hope is that I would be able to guide other people and pull them out with me, right? Not necessarily, not controlling them to come out, but like being like, hey guys, the road is over here, and that's sort of what I've been doing. I'm just like a way shower, right? So I had to go down into that. And he could be fulfilling that role, but for the amount of time that he's been in that angry, dark energy, you're probably right. He's probably an asset, but whatever. It's speculation. Crystal, I worked through the lust and sex behavior, and the anger is all that's left now, and it's loud. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I went through the same stuff. And this is all, it, programmed MK Ultra trauma, transgenerational trauma and all these things, right? I've talked about this endlessly. I have gotten to the point, though, where I've sort of leaned towards, like, it's not like that it's necessarily happening to everybody on a mass scale in like an organized way on a 3D level. It's more of like an energetic thing that, like, once it gets into a family line, it perpetuates itself. They don't need to go in and like do rituals and stuff, right? Like, it's just like people just abuse each other and they just pass these things down subconsciously until someone pops up in the line who has like a shamanic, template and can start to undo some of it. Sentinel, last drop of alcohol I had was in January. Couldn't process it anymore. Think the divine stepped in and put a hard stop. Yes, that will happen. When you step up into the next, vibrational rung, sometimes you'll hit this wall where your body can't deal with the substance anymore. And 100%, yeah, like your body is basically hitting the brakes on you. Like your being is hitting the brakes on you. And like you're like thinking about it, like, dude, I used to be able to drink like 4 times this much, and all of a sudden, like one day, you just can't. Yeah, that will happen. Because I had a transformative faded soul encounter shortly afterwards that would not have been possible in an inebriated state. Yeah, sounds about right. That's good for you, Sentinel. It was forced on me, but I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, you can appear that way, from like an ego level, but at the same time, you look at it's like your higher self can sometimes arrange these things. You know what I'm saying? It's still you, right? It's you. It's just like a different level of you. So I'm the shamanic guy in my line. Most of the people that watch this channel are. I like the term curse breaker. I have Pluto in 8th house in Scorpio. That's one of the trademark placements for it. Yeah. Where's my Pluto? I'll look this up. I got an app called Astro Future. Pluto. I want to look because I've got a couple placements in Scorpio. I've actually been looking in my Vedic astrology, and it is. I'm a Scorpio in the Vedic system, which I thought was pretty interesting. So, Sid is a Scorpio in the, I guess, tropical system, Western. I'm a Scorpio in that system. So I am the fabled Scorpio. Everybody talks about Scorpio. I don't get it. Like, it's freaking Scorpio. That's all anybody talks about, Scorpio. And it's like, I don't understand it. What's so special about Scorpio? But apparently, I am one. Let's see. Pluto. Natal planets. Pluto. Scorpio, Pluto and Scorpio, 8 degrees, 57 minutes. Let's see. I want to see what house it's in. Give me a sec. Pluto and Scorpio, 8 degrees, 57 minutes with a P. Pluto with a P. I'm having trouble. These charts sometimes are kind of tough to read if you don't know all the symbols, which I don't. Scorpio, Pluto, Scorpio. Okay, it's in the 4th house, I think. So yeah, I don't really know what that means, but I haven't that aspect I haven't really looked into. Okay, yeah, mine's in the 4th house. So anyway, I can't even remember what we were talking about a minute ago. I have a video. I think it might still be on here, but it was called "Facing the Demon." Unfortunately, because I talked about some of these things so much, there were some people, and I've said this on my channel, but I guess it's just one of those things that really got under my skin. There was someone in my circle, right, who, upon not meeting me but finding out about me, went on my Twitter and looked at the names of the videos that I had made that were no longer visible. And because they included things like satanic and demon and dark this person made the assumption that I was a Satanist. And I was so angry about that. I was so fucking pissed about that because I was just like, what? I'm sorry, but like, what a moron. Like, have you watched the videos? Watch the damn videos instead of making assumptions and freaking out, right? Like, it's like, my videos talk about these things and how to defend yourself against them, you jackass. So, yeah, my uncle definitely was a shaman. Now, he didn't go to like shaman school, but I'll share this. It feels right. My uncle actually used to correspond, I guess you could call him like a medium of sorts, with an entity that he called Durin. And he said that it was basically the entity that the Durin, the dwarf in the Lord of the Rings, was based on. Apparently, that is a real entity in a different reality somewhere, right? And my uncle knew. I mean, he pretty much verbatim used to spew at me what was going to happen right now, like what's going on right now in the world. He knew. Everybody thought he was crazy. Everybody, said the same things about him that they do about me. But he was right. And he taught me how to work with energy. He taught me Reiki. He taught me how to lift weights. He taught me how to hunt. Like, he taught me a lot of stuff. He was a real, he was a shaman, and he was like, basically, like, if he had been actually like himself, because he was like wounded very badly when he was 20, and then he ended up like being a drug addict, right? But like, if he'd actually been himself, he would have been like probably a very, very impressive person. But he was attacked and he was fucked with, and he had to deal with a huge burden that not a lot of people could understand. Which is one of the reasons I kind of flipped out when he died, because like I felt like I was the only one who really understood that about him, like what he actually endured, because I felt like I endured, similar things, right? Not the same thing, because what he endured was like, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Yes. Yeah, I'm surprised that you remember that in terms of fighting alongside him in a war in a previous life. So we both like had this weird thing with helicopters. We didn't like helicopters. And he said that he thought that he died in Vietnam. And I had this weird like flashback memory one time of like, I think that I watched him, or at least I was tuning into something like that, where it was like, he died. I was like holding his head in my lap. There's helicopters coming and trying to extract us. And, And then this time he had a massive heart attack at like, how old was he, Ma? Ma,
What?
how old was Willie when he died?
Oh, probably like early 40s. I don't remember.
I think he was like 45, but he just had a massive heart attack and died. And he was basically my best friend. I mean, he was the person, he was the only person I felt like actually understood me. He was the only person that like, I really felt like, I don't know. I mean, he was just like, we had a special relationship. And yeah, it was really, really hard. But yeah, he basically had a bad accident when he was 20. He ended up getting addicted to the painkillers they gave him. So he ended up like basically having a methadone addiction. And when he was 45, he was relatively healthy, or at least he appeared to be. You know, he used to lift weights and stuff, and like he did not have good teeth, and I know that can cause some other problems in your body. But yeah, just one day he was just gone, and yeah, that's what I mean when I say he didn't make it. Like he had all of the knowledge and all the tools and like the right like channels and things opened up within himself to be able to see all of these things, but he didn't make it in terms of like being able to actually purge and transmute all the energy and overcome the obstacles that were put into his path. But I don't think he was meant to. I think he actually like came here like and sacrificed himself for the rest of us. And like I've always thought that like he almost like he came in here knowing that this was going to totally suck, but he did it so that he could pass on the knowledge to me. Right. That's how I feel.
He caught me off guard. Like he's only 4 years younger than me, so he would have been like early 50s. You just caught me off guard.
He would have been early 50s now.
No, I'm 50. He's 4 years younger, so he would have been early 50s when I passed.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't over 50. No way.
I'm 58. He's 4 years younger than me.
You were at the time?
Yeah, so he would have been either early 50s or like 49.
Oh, really thought he was in his 40s.
We're just trying to figure out what.
Yeah.
I just drew a blank. You caught me
He
off.
still died young, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah. So but that's what I think. He hated it here. Like he like knew that like this planet was messed up and like things weren't right here. He felt the same way I did, you know, probably from the time he was a little kid. He used to say a lot of the same things I did. Like he just like would look around at people and like he's like, I don't understand like why people are so wretched to each other. Like why are people so awful? Like this place doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I don't feel like I belong here. And like that's how I felt when I was a little kid. I remember like looking around at like the other little kids and like they were all like being mean to each other, and I was just like, why? Like, why are they doing that? And it made no sense to me. Like, what does make sense to me now is like that, you know, I've obviously been mean to people. I've been a jerk, right? But it's like it's trauma response, right? And like, is that all a trauma response from them? Like, I don't know. At the time, you know, maybe they had like parents that like weren't good to him. His name was Willie, Crystal. I always spelled it Willie, I think, but it is the spelling kind of goes wherever. But yeah, his name was Willie, Will Prindle. And yeah, one of my first videos was about him. I was playing the song Drink a Beer by like, I'm going to sit right here on the edge of this pier. That song. It's like a song about losing somebody, basically. I played that song and I was like drinking a beer. And I was talking about Will in one of my first videos. The other thing is, if you watch my videos, you guys would not be able to recognize it because you didn't know him. But the people that knew him that watch some of my videos are like, holy shit, that's Willie right now. Like, it's literally somehow like he attached to me and like I was channeling him. There are videos that I make, and they happen especially when I'm explaining things through a shamanic lens. I've learned this, like when I would do shamanic work on Sydney and I would explain things to her and I would go into like teacher mode, I'd find myself talking and basically emoting and thinking exactly like he did. And my voice changes. He used to have a little bit of an overbite, so he talked like this a little bit. And sometimes when I'm explaining things like that, like I'll be like, you need to do this and do that. And, I don't know, like when I explain things, like, and I talk about nature and trees and stuff, a lot of times I feel like it's him. I feel like I'm literally channeling his spirit. I don't know how that works. I haven't done any research on that type of thing. I don't know. All I know is that when you watch the videos, every once in a while, it's like my persona totally changes and I'm him. That's all I can tell you. I don't look at it as a bad thing. He's my uncle. We're related. He is obviously genetically a match to me. So I don't think there's going to be any like genetic distortion or anything like that going on, which can happen with channeling. So I don't advocate channeling. It can fuck up your DNA template if you're channeling a Luciferic or a demonic being. Oh, yes, Crystal, I know it happened to you. 100% know it happened to you. You're the only person I've ever met that is like me. Can I share a little bit about that? Are you okay with that? Because I've seen it. So Crystal is my friend. Crystal has been watching for a while, and we've spoken quite a bit outside of here, and Crystal is the first person that I met who understood a lot of like the MK Ultra stuff that I talked about, and a lot of the things having to do with dissociative identity disorder or multiple personality disorder, and how we go into different aspects, right? And for some people, like myself, it's very clear. The lines are very clear between like the different aspects of it, or they were very clear when I was like not healthy. The different aspects of myself were like different people almost, right? And basically, when I met Crystal, she ended up sending me, because we were talking about this, she sent me a bunch of photos, and it was like you could just see in the photos, it was like she looked visibly, her energy looked like different people in every photo. And I was like, wow, I've never met anybody else like that, because that's like me. You look at the photos of me like doing my Sasquatch characters, or the photos of me in different energies, it looks like a different person. Like if you go through the thumbnails and you read some of the titles, you'll see, but there's consistencies in it, right? So when I'm in this type of energy, it's like I look like this. When I'm in that type of energy, I look like that. And it almost literally to me seems like it physically changes me, or at least it appears to. And I saw that with Crystal as well. And she like totally got all the stuff that I was talking about when I was explaining like how we go into different aspects, and how like that can be triggered through like programming on TV, programming in the news, programming like, that we do to each other, trauma responses being triggered, right? Like all these things. And so it really, it helped me meeting you, Crystal, because it was like, okay, I'm not alone here. I'm not, like, it's not just me that this is happening to. The good news is that like everything that I explained about integrating those aspects is 100% correct. And you can do it. Like, as you see me now, I'm more whole, I'm more integrated. All of those aspects have become closer together, right? They're operating more cohesively. It's not to say that there's not still some dissonance and separation and things like that. But the idea here is to show a process, right? I'm not claiming to be done, right? I'm claiming to be on the path with the rest of you, and just someone who's a way shower, right? Like I'm in here in the trenches with you. I'm here to, I don't know, lead the charge in battle, basically, like in a way, in my own way. You know, and it is what it is, right? A million people could find a million reasons wrong, you know, I'm wrong, or, you know, things wrong with me and whatnot. And that will be the case. I'm going to talk about that as well. That will be the case with any spiritual person you look at. You know, we're in a reality field where you can't not have flaws. Okay. Everybody's going to have something that you can rip apart about them. You got to find the good things, and you've got to find people that like whose flaws you can live with. Like, that's it. Yeah. Like, don't stop looking for a perfect guru or teacher or guide or anything like that. It's not going to happen. You're going to always find something wrong with them. Take what's good, take what you can use, take what resonates, leave the rest. Use your own brain, make your own decisions, have your own thoughts, form your own opinions, weigh things, read both sides of things, you know, have debates with people that are constructive, right? And, you know, the science is never settled. Until 2020, the science has never settled until we got to 2020, and then the science was fucking 100% this. You 100% must allow us to jam you with pins and needles, or you're a bad person, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, you always need to be open to new information and new points of view. I'm willing to throw away my whole channel and say it's all wrong if something presents itself, right? Because it's not about me being right. It's not about me, you know, saving face. It's not about me, you know, inventing a protocol and having to like stick to it rigidly and be like, this is correct. And the reason why is because if it's not correct, I lose my shirt. I don't give a shit about any of that. All I care about is the truth, you know? I don't care. I'll come on here and eat my words anytime. That's why when I have debates, I can actually find people that I can have high level debates with that, like, we never, ever even get a little irritated at each other because, like, we totally sit there and listen to each other, and our mutual goal is to arrive at the truth, not to be right. And like, there's this one guy that I love debating because he would read everything I sent him, even though he disagreed with all of it. And I was like, I love you. You are the best. Like, he would read everything that I sent him. He would think about it. He would weigh it. He would compare it to information they already knew. You know what I mean? And he would really consider my point of view, even though every time he would disagree with it. But he would think about it. And I was like, I just had so much respect for that, right? Like, that's how you have a debate, right? Like, it's not a dick measuring contest. The satanic version of a fucking debate is a dick measuring contest, okay? Like, the inverted version of the reason to do that is a dick measuring contest. Like, it's about who can win and be right. That's why, like, just the fundamental setup of debate teams in like schools and stuff like that is totally fucked up because it teaches people to argue for all the wrong reasons. You've set up a paradigm where people learn to argue to be right instead of learning to argue to find the truth. You know, instead of arguing to determine what is actually best for everyone involved, not out of self-interest, right? Arguing to win a trophy is completely self-interested and stupid. So anyway, take that situation and apply it to literally everything on the planet, and you've got Earth. This place is a fucking circus, dude. It couldn't be more screwed up. And like, the fact that like almost no one can see it is like maddening. It's so maddening. Like, we just have to like keep like dealing with this insane, absurd shit all the time. You know, at a certain point, it's just like, all you can do is laugh about it because like it's not gonna stop anytime soon. So anyway, I think I probably will wrap it up here. Unless you guys got any other questions, comments, concerns, gripes. But if you're gonna gripe, you need to do so respectfully. Okay. Yeah. Also, thank you, Crystal, for letting me share a little bit about you and your story. It's certainly helpful for me. One last thing I could ask you guys, those of you who are here, who are watching, what's a good topic to discuss? What do you guys want to hear about? What do you want me to talk about? There are certain topics I'm not going to talk about on YouTube. I actually kind of went a little bit over that line today about, I said more than I guess I would have if I'd have thought about it, but it is what it is. If there's any topics you guys would have any questions about, and you feel that doing a discussion is warranted, let me know. If you can't think of anything right now and you want to think of something later, you can just drop a comment. I don't read the comments like super often, but I will read it eventually. So, if you leave a comment, it will get read. And if I feel like it's something that's a relevant, valuable question, like, it will get answered. Yeah, I like talking about twin flames too. It really became the center point of my channel. And for me, everything revolves around it because, like, it's the basic template and like microcosmic example that you can extrapolate to everything, right? That other person is like your ascension buddy, and like they're the mirror that gets you to look into yourself and then understand yourself, understand the world, right? Like, Luciferic type people have this idea that, like, oh, I'm just going to do this whole thing internally. I don't need anybody else. And it's like, no, while you're here and you have a body and an ego and a mind and you're in density, right? You still have to eat and shit. You need external reflections, right? That's how it works here. The external reflects the internal. The external can show you what's going on in the internal, right? Like, that's how it works here. So, and also, this whole idea that, like, you have to be totally okay on your own and you have to be thriving by yourself is nonsensical. We are a pair bonding tribal species. We are designed to have other people around. Okay. Like, we are designed to fall in love and to do all these things, right? Like, yeah, you do need to get to a point where you're like okay by yourself, but it's also okay to like be someone who maybe does a little bit better in a relationship. And it makes sense that some people would, like, you've got someone else there to help you do things, like to do things with you, pick up slack, who might be good at things that you're not. You know what I mean? Like, it's teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby. So MK Ultra Rila, I'm talking about very little on this platform due to some of the issues I've run into in the past, right? It has proven itself to be a bit dangerous for me to talk about those topics. Not only is it dangerous, but also putting this type of information out in a public forum just has a lot of drawbacks that I can't, I'm not doing it to myself anymore. Because unfortunately, there's a great swath of people that are too immature to be able to handle that type of content, and they don't seem to be able to turn off the video. They can't deal with the fact that I have an opinion about something that they know absolutely nothing about. So, yeah, probably not going to talk about that too much here. But when we do the Patreon, there will be this type of content on there. I will be going into everything in detail and giving like my current viewpoints on this. So that's going to be kind of the carrot for signing up for the Patreon, and it's not going to be expensive. But yeah, the more detailed stuff about all of those topics, defending yourself against like dark forces and so on and so forth, that's going to be paid content. Like I said, because it's not a good idea for all the reasons that I listed, but also like I need to start getting something back from this. I've been doing this for like 6 years. And I think that it's time for a little bit of an exchange. So there's still going to be free content. There's going to be things available to people, like, especially if like you can't afford it and stuff like that. I'm totally about that. I want to give as much as I can, but also I need to get something in return. So that's why there's going to be tiers. There's going to be free content and there's going to be premium content. So there's still an old video of yours about beta programming. Yeah, there is one that I put up. And I have gone through, yes. So Reload, there are some videos on my channel about that topic. And you're free to watch those. And there are a lot of older videos that are not currently visible, but some of them I will be making visible as time goes on. It's just, it's kind of a process reviewing all of them and making sure that like I feel like they're actually okay to go on YouTube. So, the game has changed a little bit. 6 or 7 years ago, I could post anything I wanted, and the algorithm wouldn't cut me off because I was talking about something that, the NWO didn't approve of. But now you get the ban stick, and the algorithm is extremely sophisticated, and they just shut people like me down. I mean, it is the way it is. It's not speculation at this point. It's 100% provable. So I know I don't delve, but it seems like maybe a safe place, still searching for answers. It's a lot harder now really to get the good information on that stuff. But I will make a couple of suggestions to you. Go to platforms like BitChute, Odyssey, LBRY, Library. You can still get good information on like Telegram from people, but you've got to go to alternative platforms. 100% you have to go to alternative platforms because all of the really good information was wiped off the internet. Basically, it's like not there. And this happened a few years ago. Monarch, the Netflix series, is basically MKU programming. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I watching those types of things for me is kind of like a double-edged sword because it's really triggering for me, and watching that type of content can be actually dangerous for someone who's not at a certain level of wholeness, right? Like if you feel like you're still like having regular trauma responses that are related to things like sexual trauma, for example, I would not watch that type of TV show. You want to watch that type of stuff when you're doing pretty damn well and you feel like there's not a chance that you're going to relapse into the types of toxic trauma response behaviors that you've previously been in. Yeah. And, I would watch stuff like that to be able to teach more effectively. But like I said, only at a certain point. And like, you want to do very consciously watch it. Like you want to shield. You need to do like, protect yourself basically. And you need to really, 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 if you're watching stuff like that, you need to monitor yourself. You need to be like in a meditative state, and you need to be in your body because TV will tend to put you in like a hypnotic trance type of thing. You need to focus on being in your body, and you need to focus on what your breathing is doing and what your emotional body is doing. If you start getting heavily triggered or you start feeling strong negative emotions, anger, fear, anything like that, you need to turn it off. You need to reset. You need to make sure that you can get yourself back to center before you start viewing the material again. You might just need to turn it off indefinitely. Do not watch that type of content if you are experiencing a high level of negative emotion towards it. So yeah. But yeah, Rila, I have made a lot of content on those topics. It's partially available online right now. Like I said, due to just the concerns that I listed, it has been a battle. It's been a really, really like tough battle, like putting this content out. And I was very, very determined to do it. But I'm having to change. I'm having to adapt a little bit because things, you can only keep up that fight for just so long before you get worn out. Yeah, the Sasquatch. Sasquatch is hibernating. That whole thing was basically like, I mean, it was DID. It was, altars and stuff, but it was like sort of like I used it as a way to almost like expel that from myself. You know, I haven't really decided whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, or whether it was just neutral or what, but there were definitely things like messing with me at that time, like very, very heavily, um, and using me as a vector and a conduit, like for sure. Um, and that's what happens with other people. So, like when you see people that are heavily traumatized, you have to be very careful with them because, unfortunately, regardless of their heart, they may have a good, pure heart, but if they have that much trauma layered on top of it, they can become a vector for dark entities to move through and to mess you up, right? And you can't tell these people that because they're just going to not get it, and it's just going to make things worse. But you need to understand it yourself. Yeah. Hey James, how's it going, man? How is it down under? Recently watched something about the Satan ritual when the Exorcist movie came out. Yeah, that whole movie coming out was a ritual. And it was intended to do exactly what happened to my uncle, which is like he slept with a Bible under his pillow for a month after he saw that movie because it scared him so much. And back then, in what 70s or 80s, movies like that didn't exist. So it was like, I mean, it fucked people up badly. And they put movies like that out, to get people in that energy, get people in fear. And what do people do from fear? Well, they make decisions and do things that are impulsive and nonsensical, and they sabotage themselves, and they actually perpetuate the energy, right? So if they can get people operating from that place, it creates more of itself, and that was the idea, right? Thanks, Rila. I've learned through experience, so it's been rough. But I'm happy to help as much as I can, and we just keep going, right? I'm glad you're doing well, buddy. Hope things went well with your dad. So I know James just showed up, but I've got to head out. That's sort of a random comment, J Jar Star, but yeah, I'm not going into that right now. So, all right. I appreciate you guys showing up. It's been fun. Really, feel free to send me an email if you would like, and I can send you some information. And we will see you next week. I'll be making an announcement about you will be making an announcement about what our plans are for Sydney's class. Basically, we what happened last week, I mean, while it is not going to stop us, it did slow us down a little bit because we had to change things again. But we'll get a system figured out. We just did a Calendly link, so like people could sign up via email and they would get sent a link to the Zoom, which is what we did today. Unfortunately, we only had a couple of days before the actual class to release it, so we had like 3 or 4 signups, but nobody showed up. So we're gonna hope to get some people for next week, and we'll just keep rolling. And if there's anybody there, we'll just record and we'll release a workout video. So yeah, all right. Well, I'm not joining your argument, but as of this moment, I have no opinion to offer you. J Jar Star was timed out by Joe Fortin for 300 seconds. Interesting. Whatever. Okay, I'm done. Thanks, guys. Love you. We'll see you next week. Have a good week.